Hello, it's seemownay. I'm here with week 28 of Project Life 2018, and even though I feel like I'm making huge progress, it's still only week 28 and we are still in the first half of the year, or right at the break. It's the first week of August, the first 2 days of August. And I am using cards from aliedwards, Feed Your Craft one, and the rest is actually all Cocoa Daisy stuff. And I am 2 packets away from using up all of the pre-picked photos and cards. I will then have to sit down again and pick cards and start making plans. I do these things in 2 different steps for no other reason than it takes me ages to pick cards for my spreads, and I feel like I'm out of groove. Well, that sounds strange. I'm not, when I pick more cards than just for one spread, it gets me into the swing of things, and it doesn't take as much time as it would take when I would choose the cards every time I sit down to create a Project Life process video. What I am thinking about doing is not putting the photos back into an envelope and putting the cards and the photos into the actual Project Life page protectors. Now I was like looking for the word and couldn't find it. I am thinking about putting it into the Project Life page protectors, because then I wouldn't need to figure out what I was thinking when I picked the cards. It might, well, I'm not really sure. Let me talk about the process and then I'll tell you what I'm just thinking right now. So I really like the pattern and the colors of this card. However, I feel like it is way too heavy. And so I am taking away part of this heaviness by creating a card with a white stripe, horizontal stripe, so that it isn't weighing down on the cards that are underneath the title card so much. And as you can see, I already switched out the title card and the card and photo that were right next to it. Usually I have been very adamant about adding the title card to the top left corner, but there's no real reason for it than just this is how I'm usually doing it, and that is not a valid reason to keep on doing it when I feel like the spread works much better this way. Why am I saying this way? Because there is the sun in the card that is in the top left corner, and I also placed the compass rose as the bottom right corner. And even though they're not suns, or the compass rose isn't a sun, it's still, the shape is very similar, and it feels like it's a start and an end to a page that you would read that way. And so that is why I placed the cards the way I placed them here. Now I'm going through my huge box of die cuts. I have actually put all of my die cuts from all different kinds of manufacturers together in one big box. I generally think this is a great idea, but sometimes I have to admit I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I mean, there's no real reason except when you're very strict about scrapping only with the same papers and die cuts from the same manufacturer to keep things separate, and also not to, as I just said, sometimes it feels overwhelming going through that box. But there's no reason except for when you're maybe on a design team and you have to use whatever pink paisley product, Cocoa Daisy product, or whatever else is there. Those were just the 2 that came to my mind. Or maybe from when you work on a kid club, you have to keep the kids together. There is no real reason to separate the things. And I I have found that when I actually purged my die cuts that I didn't like and I had them in one really huge tray that I was thinking about giving away, I would grab those and go through those and pick most of my die cuts. And so I thought, well, why don't I put the die cuts that I actually like together in one box and grab them from here? Maybe I need to find a bigger box that has more surface area so that it's not piled up that high. But I really love the idea and it works great for the most part. There's always pros and cons to something like that. I picked several die cuts that I tested out, and you saw me making fun of myself by placing them onto the photos and realizing that they're way too huge and wouldn't work. And so I have two placed on the photos right here, and then I went and grabbed my phrase stickers. I grabbed them because I have a Citrus Twist stamp that has the week spelled out, and I wanted to use that. And when I was there to grab that, I was like, well, I could use those phrase stamps to embellish my layout, and then it still looks quite minimal or whimsical, or it's not overwhelming because it looks quite okay and balanced, but it gives it a little bit of an oomph that it didn't have before. So I'm going through all of my the small ones are, I think, 2x3 stamp sets, and the other ones are 3x4 stamp sets. They are from Ellie Studio, Coco Daisy, and the aliedwards Stories by the Month kits. And I just went through and looked at all the phrases that were on there, and now I'm stamping them out. And I picked one that, I can't read it from here. It worked really well with the photo that was right next to it on the compass rose, but it didn't fit well. There were 3 arrows in front of it, and so I used a paper underneath the card to stamp off the card. I added my journaling underneath the compass rose and the stamping, and then I declare this card to be done. Now I'm looking through other sayings that would work, and I think I'm going to, I'm placing the stamp sets on the cards that I think I might use them for. And I'm finding there is a label here, and I thought that is cool to add to the Sun Project Life card. And I'm just stamping the label right onto the card, overlapping the sun a bit, and then stamping the label first, adding a title, and the title is Note, and then I'm just going to journal underneath. I love this way of journaling and scrapbooking. If you like this kind of project life and using pocket cards, then I can highly recommend 2 scrapbookers that I absolutely love their style. That is Odessa and now I don't remember her name. She's Resonated. I think Jill Larson is her name. On Instagram, both. I will put their links in the description box below so you can check them out. They are amazing pocket page scrapbookers. I love their style. And yeah, definitely the way this spread is turning out is greatly inspired by their style. I added another stamp right underneath the In the Wild, and I decided to stamp the saying multiple times so that it looks messy. It just worked with the whimsical feeling of the cards that I had already created, and so I thought this would make it cohesive. Not so sure about that card. I like the way it turned out. I like the way the photo is added here, but it doesn't really fit in with the rest of the cards. That's okay. It's done and dusted and in the books, and I'm not going back and changing it. And now I'm using my Brilliance white ink to stamp Life is Better at the Lake. And I'm totally okay with the fact that it is not standing out that much. It is visible, it's not dominant, and that's okay. This is not because the ink isn't good or it doesn't work well. It's just because the background is too light. If I had stamped it at the bottom left corner, it would look much more, it would be much more visible. However, I didn't want the stamp to interfere with the silhouettes of my 4 boys, my husband and my sons. And I added another stamp right onto the die cut label that I added here as kind of a title of the card. And I am writing about our experience at Sutter's Fort. If you are in California or if you go on vacation to California and you end up being in Sacramento, I highly recommend checking out Sutter's Fort. It is one of our favorite state parks ever, or it's actually I think it's a national monument. No, it's not a national monument. I think it's a California state park. It's just, you learn so much about settlement and California and the way the gold rush and all of this, it all falls into place. I love going there. We've been there twice already, and I always learn something new. And we ended up in the meeting a volunteer that sat in one of Sutter's offices, pretending to be his, I don't even know what to say, the person who is dealing with giving out land, and he gave us a fake land we had to choose, and he talked to us and he gave us a piece of paper. It was really fun. Here is the finished spread. The title card is very understated. I think it fits in nicely. And yeah, close-ups of the stamping. Leave me a comment and let me know who your favorite pocket page scrapbookers are. I would love to check them out. I love following the 2 that I mentioned before. They are in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day wherever you're at. I will see you soon. Bye.